We'll be continuing to work with creating custom themes. But before we get into a new method of creating custom themes, I want to show you how we can add some demo content into our website. This will be useful as it will allow us to have content, and as we develop our themes, we can see how the edits that we make will affect actual page-based content. In order to get started, we are going to need to have a new fresh install of WordPress. I've already gone ahead and set up a new install of WordPress. Currently, I do not have any content on my website aside from the default content that WordPress installs. In order to have more content to be able to work with and be able to see how our WordPress file is going to work under different circumstances, we'll be adding some demo content. Occasionally, when you're wanting to test features out in WordPress, whether they're themes or plugins or anything else, you might want some demo content. This could be posts that utilize different sorts of formatting blocks, images, and more. It's helpful to have demo content that includes a variety of posts and pages that will feature paragraphs and headings, lists and quotes, images and galleries, columns and buttons, embeds and custom blocks, and other elements. Demo content will allow you to see how different elements will look and function across layouts and devices. You can create your own demo content, or we're going to be using some demo content from WordPress. In order to install the demo content, we will import an XML file. An XML import file doesn't contain the actual content, not exactly things that you would see like images or videos, but instead it's a set of instructions for WordPress that tells your site what posts and pages to create, how to structure them, where to get the media from the original site, if that's something that's available to you. Let me show you how we can access the default WordPress demo content. If you visit this URL, which is linked in the description of this video, you will see that this contains an XML file. XML stands for Extensible Markup Language. It's a text file that uses tags to structure and store data in a readable and organized way. It's kind of similar to HTML, but it's designed specifically for storing and transporting data, not for displaying it on the web page. In the context of WordPress, an XML file is often used for importing and exporting content. So when you export a WordPress site, the content will be saved in an XML file. When you import that file into another website, WordPress will read the XML instructions to recreate posts, pages, and sometimes even download images or other media. XML files are typically human-readable text files that you can open in a text editor. They will include data that's enclosed in custom tags like post, title, or content. And they don't contain images or files directly, but they may include instructions on where to fetch them. All you'll need to do this is the XML-based file. I'm going to go back to my backend portion of WordPress, and what we're going to do is we're going to find the import area. This is under Tools, Import. Once you selected this file, you can go ahead and install a variety of elements. What we want to do is we want to use the WordPress area. We're going to be clicking Install Now. This is actually going to install the WordPress importer. So once we have done that, you'll get this message at the top letting you know that the importer installed successfully. Then we want to run the importer. And this allows you to choose and browse for where your file was stored. Presently, I have not stored my file, so I need to save this somewhere on my computer. I'll just go ahead and select the content. I'm going to copy this. I'll go into a location on my computer, and I'm just going to simply make a new file. You can give this file anything you want, so I'm just going to call it WordPress content.xml. And then I'm just going to paste this content in. And as you can see, when we look at this content inside of our editor, this is a mixture of HTML and WordPress-based commenting. You don't really need to worry about what this content is. WordPress will understand this. So now that I have this content saved on my computer, I'm going to jump back into the backend portion of WordPress. I'll navigate to the folder and select the XML file. Then I'm going to click open, and then I'll just click upload file and import. When you do this, you will be asked to choose how to assign authors from the original source. So as you can see, it's letting me know, hey, you need to assign some authors. You can create a new user and login name right here, or you can select an existing user. I'm just going to use myself as the user, so I'm going to select myself from the pull-down menu. I'll go ahead and check download and import file attachments, and I'm going to click submit. Then you're going to get this all done, have fun message indicating that the import is successful. Now that we've done that, if we go to the post section of WordPress, you can see that I have a variety of posts. If we click on these posts, they will be populated with various content. So this one has paragraphs, a bunch of different headings, lists, a form section, and more. This is really helpful when you're testing out your custom theme, or really any theme that you want to use, because you'll immediately have some information or content that you can preview and use on your website. It is worth mentioning that if you use this method, it will go ahead and create quite a few posts for you. But if you go to the pages section, you're still just going to be left with the default pages. And if I go into media, even though we do see a picture of a boat, for instance, right here, if we go into that particular post, you can see that this image has been placed inside of this page. This image is using the classic editor, and if we actually go into the code portion of the editor, you will see that this is being hosted externally on a live web server. So this is not embedded in WordPress. We're just basically using the image tag and pointing to the SRC file for this particular file. And that's why the image is showing up. If you look in your media repository, you're not going to have any media, and as I mentioned, no page content. The rest of the website is pretty much the same. We don't have navigation, but we do have some posts with some content. So this is a good way to get up and running. Another option that you have to be up and running is to use a plugin. You can see that we have the WordPress importer plugin. This is what we installed when we used tools import, and we went ahead and installed this plugin. I'm going to deactivate this plugin for now, and I'll add a new plugin. This one's called FakerPress. This plugin will allow you to bring in dummy content. So if we go ahead and install this plugin and activate it, you can see I have a new menu item called FakerPress. The FakerPress plugin will allow you to generate various types of content, including posts, pages, users, terms, comments, and custom post types. If we go to FakerPress, we have some different areas here. So if we go to posts, for instance, this will allow us to configure how many posts that we want. I'll specify that I want it to generate 4 to 6 posts. You can specify the date. So this is a starting day. So let's go ahead and say that I want posts created within the last 15 days. This is helpful because you can create posts not only that go back in past days, weeks, or months, but you can also have posts that are going to publish in a more timely fashion. And you can customize the date range here if the drop-down menu does not give you what you want. In addition to creating posts, I'm going to add pages. This will allow me to generate content for pages as well as for posts. You can specify if you want to have a parent element. I'm going to leave this blank. You can choose if you want to have commenting, and this would of course pertain to posts. You can go ahead and choose the author. So if you wanted to have a new author, you could go ahead and create a new author. You can go ahead and specify an additional author for your posts. Currently, I am the only user, but if I had created additional user, then that person would be listed here and I could assign multiple authors to the posts. This is helpful if you've already created users and want to randomly assign them. I'll leave that blank because I am the only author at this point. You can use HTML on your randomized content, and you can choose how many paragraphs you want to generate, as well as what HTML tags you want to include. We'll be using placeholder.co for the images. That's how it's going to generate them, and Lorem Pixum. These providers are inserted by default. And then you have your excerpt size. So how many paragraphs are we going to generate of the excerpt? You can specify that. In addition, you can specify the taxonomies. So do you want to have different tags and categories? You can add additional terms. I'm going to leave all this at the default. I'm not going to change any of my meta field rules either. So pretty much the only thing I'm augmenting here is the quantity and the fact that I want to create posts and pages. Actually, now that I'm thinking about this, let's just have it create pages because we already have some posts, but we don't really have any pages. So I'll just have it create pages and I'm going to click generate. It may take a minute or two to fully generate the request for you. And as soon as it's done, if we go back to pages, you're going to see that now I have more than just the sample and the privacy page. So if I click on one of these pages, you can see that the page has an image, it has a variety of text. And if we go back and go into the editor, you can see that they've automatically have a featured image assigned along with the various content. So at this point, if I come back to my custom theme and I refresh, I have a bunch of these different pages, which definitely have kind of weird names. We might want to augment that. I do have my dummy posts that were created from importing in the XML file. And then I'm going to have these variety of pages that were created by using the FakerPress plugin. I'm going to perform a quick edit and just give these pages more. Maybe I'll have an about page, a services page, and if you are changing the page names, you might want to update the slug as well so that the page name is not overly long. You can just go in and do this as necessary. As you can see, I've now renamed the pages. If we go back to the front end portion of WordPress and refresh, now my menu is a little more typical of what we have experienced previously when working in WordPress. And the nice thing is we do have this dummy content set up. In addition to bringing in this placeholder content, I'm going to go to Settings, General. I will change my site title. I don't want it to say Custom Theme 2, so we're just going to call this green.blue. And our tagline will be bringing ideas to life. I'm not going to worry about a site icon right now, and everything else can stay at the defaults. I'll click Save Changes. I'm going to go to permalinks and just verify that I am using post name. I am. At this point, I am ready to begin my theme development. And the nice part is that I have some basic dummy content inserted into my website so that I can see how the changes that I make are going to affect the various content of my site.